Hello and welcome to Affinity. When we're thinking about colour models, we usually think of red, green, blue, and then we look at the colours in between, which we call secondary colours of cyan, magenta and yellow. And we can sort of look at the colours between these as well. We can get tertiary colours and so on, but we think in this thing. So even within this, we know that magenta is a combination of red and blue, and that rose is a combination of red and magenta. In other words, it's got lots of red in and a bit of blue, and so on. However, when we get to LAB, that's a totally different way of thinking. It's just you have to forget about this thing, this RGB, and you've got to think differently. It's like quantum mechanics. You've got to think of it in a weird sort of way. But once you get your head around it, it's surprisingly useful because the colours you create are ones that tend to appear often in images. So if we look at this grey square here, up here we've got the LAB. We could change the colour space here on the colour tab to anyone we like. So we've got LAB. And the default middle position here, you've got L50, then A and B are 0. You can see on here, if you change the sliders up and down, where they're going to go. This is, by the way, looks like the neutral grey. It's not the same as RGB neutral grey. So if I go to RGB there, look, the values here are slightly different. I'd expect 127, 127, 127, or even 128. But they're a bit way off. In fact, if I put this grey circle on here, this is an RGB mid, but outside you've got the LAB mid, which is different. So we're already seeing differences there. Let's then have a look at what we do when we change these. We're going to lock the luminosity at 50%, so it's a middle one, and see what happens to the colours. So if you go into the middle, you're going to get grey. That grey over there, same one, A and B halfway up. If I got A up but leaving B in the middle, I got this kind of rose colour. It's not quite the thing on one or the other. So here we got, look at this, rose to a greeny colour. It's not red and green as it's often talked about. It's not even magenta and green. It's kind of rose and greeny. So you don't even have to think about it in those terms. And that's part of the problem. There's not real terms to use here. So if I go B fully up and A in the middle, I got this sort of olive khaki colour or something. And down here, this is more like a teal colour. And then if I start filling in, we get other strange effects still, both fully up. Look, that's where red appears. And down here, this is more of a green. So this is A all the way down and B all the way up. And down here, we got another quite a close blue. So you've got to look at two quite close blues, two quite close greens. And up here, that's closer to a magenta, isn't it? So we've got like reds sort of across the top, bluey, greeny stuff at the bottom, and quite different stuff in the middle. It's quite different. So let's move on to looking at changing the luminosity and see what happens with these. So when I get the luminosity right down, look here, you immediately see that when B is all the way down, changing A doesn't make much difference. However, when you go the other way, up here, things change a bit. You've got black in the middle here because luminosity is 0 and they're both halfway. But here we got A right down. Once you get from the blue, it suddenly goes green, but then doesn't change much. See, it's odd. It's odd, but it's surprising how it works out. At 100, you get white in the middle. So in the middle, you're always going to get just the luminosity effectively. But now you've got down the bottom when they're both low, it's all cyany. You've got a bit of magenta up there. This has gone from red here to kind of orangey. And this one here, this sort of muddy colour, has, when you turn the luminosity up, in other words, make it brighter, guess what? It goes yellow. And looking at some others, the intermediate position, L is 25%. Then you can start to see how these things are changing. So that one up here, A high and B low, it's going from that blue to a purpley colour to a more mid-magenta, and so on. And if we go bring in this one here, so it goes from to there to there to there, you can see the way it's transitioning now, even though it looked a bit weird before. And you can see the way the green, say for example here, goes to a not much change there. Here it's starting to change, then it's going up, and eventually it turns into that blue. It's strange, but it's just practice with it. You get used to it. Fortunately, you can experiment. That's what the software is great for, is just trying stuff. Okay, let's try one more thing. Just to show you, this website is called Colorizedorg, and you've got the different models on here. So what you can do is play around here. So this is the LAB one. I can play around with L and A and B. The color you're going to get is up here, and you can play around this and see what happens. See, it's in here as well, but it changes. You'd see where the red, green and blue are going, or even the HS and L. So there we go. Hope that was interesting, and it's something to play with, but it kind of shows how weird it is. But that's no problem. And thank you very much for watching.